The problem with trying to be disciplined through pure willpower is that we are not machines. A smart approach to self-discipline must work with your emotions rather than against them. The thing you are using your self-discipline for must eventually feel good in some way, or at least should not feel dreadful. A morbidly obese person will not be able to quit junk food at his or her first try because it will be too painful and his or her willpower will eventually fail. Human behavior is not predictable and takes time to change. The healthy approach to discipline is through something you have never thought about, is through self-acceptance. Whenever you want to change anything through pure willpower, make sure to first accept your messed up situation. Self-acceptance is essential to being disciplined because it separates yourself from the moral righteousness of the things you're doing. Everyone knows that drinking a bottle of vodka every day is wrong and is bad. But thinking this way about yourself will only create negative feelings that you will feel inclined to drown in more vodka. So now you're worse than you were before. Instead of labeling yourself as a bad person for eating too much junk food, accept that currently it's part of yourself and you're looking for a solution to this issue. Instead of labeling yourself as a bad person for not exercising in decades, accept that exercise is not your favorite thing to do. The thing is that a bad or awful person will by default continue doing bad and awful things because he or she is bad and awful. A horrible person can't change because they are horrible. Labeling yourself for your lack of discipline will always backfire. You are not bad for indulging in your desires or lacking discipline. You are simply a human, just like 7 billion other creatures in this planet. The good news is that once you refuse to judge yourself, you can think of ways in which you can change your conditions. Whenever you're lacking self-discipline, stop judging yourself as wrong or weak or bad. Accept your situation and start thinking of ways in which you can improve it. It's not until you have completely accepted in peace your current conditions that you can start applying self-discipline. At its core, discipline is the willingness and capacity to push through pain, boredom, distraction, fear, insecurity, and indecision. If you think about it, overcoming pain, boredom, and distraction requires high levels of energy. This means that the foundation of discipline is energy. When you are running low on energy, your body will naturally choose the things that are easier to do. Why? Because your brain's number one goal is to conserve energy. Humans are lazy creatures by nature. By the way, make sure to check out this video in which you will learn how you can leverage your laziness to break any bad habit. I will leave the link in the description. When you're tired, it's easier to order McDonald's than to prepare a healthy meal. But if you're feeling with enough energy, you will not fall to your brain's natural desires. Therefore, if you want to be more disciplined, you need to optimize your mind and body. Make sure to prioritize your sleep, follow a healthy diet, exercise, and socialize with joyful people. All these activities will help you maintain optimal energy levels. One of the most important things you can do with your energy is to believe you can grow and get better. See, most of the people struggle with being disciplined because they don't believe their efforts will be rewarded. For example, many people believe they are destined to be fat. So, it doesn't make sense to them to be disciplined with their food choices and exercise regime. Another common example is when people think their intelligence and talent are fixed. This is the reason why many people struggle with being disciplined in their studies and work. The human brain is capable of change and growth during all life. This trait is called neuroplasticity. In essence, it means that you can transform yourself into whoever you want, but only if you are willing to put in the time and effort. Seeing yourself as malleable will make discipline easier because you already know that your efforts will be rewarded with the change you are seeking. Now, let's talk about how you can cheat your brain to be more disciplined. Humans will tend to believe whatever is repeated frequently. This is the core principle behind marketing. The reason why companies want their ads to be shown multiple times to the same person is because every new impression influences how the viewer thinks. This principle also applies to your internal dialogue. If you constantly think you're a horrible person, guess what? You will believe it is true even when it's not. On the other hand, if you constantly think you are awesome even though no one likes you, you will believe you are amazing. What this means is that you can use this trait of the mind to be more disciplined. Just by constantly repeating, "I am a disciplined person," you will influence your levels of discipline. This sounds super easy, but it's one of the hardest things to do because it must be done constantly, and when I say constantly, I mean as often as possible. You can craft affirmations to be a disciplined person. For example, I am the type of person that always does what he says. Another example can be, I am always willing to do whatever my goals require. The idea is to craft a couple of empowering statements that make you believe you are a disciplined person. Once you have them, you should repeat them as often as possible. Oh, before I forget, I think you can benefit a lot from this video in which I share a powerful strategy that you can use to easily stop relapsing into your bad habits. I will leave the link in the description. In the same line, I highly suggest you create a set of rules around discipline. Most of the time, we struggle with our behavior because we forget how it should be. There's a reason why companies have their code of ethics written down. The human brain can't handle too much information at the same time, and therefore, it tends to forget the things which are not obvious. By creating rules for your behavior, you are going to help your brain stick to it. My suggestion to you is to create a couple of rules that really matter to you. Let me share two of mine. The first rule is I exercise at least 5 times per week unless something unexpected happens. The second rule is I don't drink alcohol and caffeine from Monday to Friday. I have both rules written down in my personal workspace so I can see them every day. Just as with your discipline affirmations, you must repeat your rules frequently if you want your brain to make them part of who you are. Another way to be more disciplined is by simplifying your life. The more steps you create between you and whatever you want to use your discipline for, the less likely it is to happen. Discipline is not just a matter of willpower. Sometimes it's about how you organize your life and how simple it is. Personally, I take a minimalist approach to my entire life. I have few but high quality friendships. I work only on 3 goals at the same time. I own very few things. This approach simplifies my decision-making process. It helps me align my energy with the things that matter the most to me. It's also easier to be disciplined when you organize your environment in an effective way. If you want to exercise more, organize your gym clothes the night before. If you want to eat healthier, stop buying snacks in the store. If you want to read more, throw away your TV and cancel your streaming subscriptions. In addition, I like to do what's most important first thing in the day. It's the time when I'm the most energized, and therefore everything I do will feel easier. I also suggest you organize your time with a calendar. My life literally changed when I began using Google Calendar. Seeing how I use my daily time forces me to be very selective with what I'm going to do. It's easier to be disciplined when you know exactly what you're going to be doing that day. You can also involve a good friend or a family member to help you be more disciplined. The classic way of using social accountability is to tell another person what you want to do and ask them to keep you accountable. This works for most people, but if it doesn't for you, I suggest you try this whole new level of social accountability. The next time you want to be more disciplined, try this experiment. Give a good friend of yours or a family member a check for $500 and tell them to cash it if you fail to be disciplined. This is extreme, but it works because we don't want to feel pain. The key idea is to associate a negative feeling with your lack of discipline. If this video provided you with value, please leave a good thumbs up to support the channel.